rifling through those long boxes.
It's gotta be here, it's gotta be here, it's gotta be here. Aha! Here it is!
And bagging those books.
I'm out of bags and boards again.
Welcome to your home for Star Wars comics.
The Cosmic Force Podcast,
A Youtini Podcast Network production. And now, here are your hosts, Parker Kirk, Caleb Lamanek, and Jacob Bosch.
now go!
Hello and welcome to the Cosmic Force. This is a special recorded intro because things have changed. We are your bi-weekly Star Wars comics podcast, and we are found this week on youtube.com/Youtini every other Wednesday, as well as your favorite podcasting app. However, if you're a video listener if you are a video watcher, and you want to keep up with the Cosmic Force, you have a new channel to go to after this week. It will be youtube.com/Youtini Vault. There's a lot of exciting new things coming on Youtini. I'm sure I can't wait for you all to see them. But for the foreseeable future, our podcast go to Vault channel, as well as our sister show Legends Look Back. And we're going to be seeing a lot more high quality video content, original content on the original channel. So I encourage you to go over there and subscribe and check us out there. Again, if you're an audio listener, nothing's changed for you. You will still see us in your audio feeds every other week. But with that said, thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you want to support the show, you can head on over to patreon.com/Youtini for as little as $5 a month. You can gain exclusive access to the Youtini podcast network of shows. And with that out of the way, let's jump. Fellas, how we doing? It is, as we're recording, 2 weeks before the big Xmas for all of us. But
open up your Advent Square for the day if you've got one.
yeah,
I already did. It was a it was a festive gonk droid for my Lego.
Ooh,
You got the Lego Star Wars one. Nice.
Yes. I've done that. This is my third year doing it. As long as Costco keeps it up, I'll keep doing this. I'm curious now if I put them all together. Like I almost have like 4 or 5 different clone troopers, battle droids.
Yeah,
there you go.
I did it 1 year. It's like fun, but then like I just end it. There's like out of 25, there's like probably 4 that are cool, and the rest of them are like, oh, this is, I guess it's all right. And then I just have I literally have a Ziploc bag, I think somewhere back there, of all of them from that year, and I've not looked at them since it happened. So I haven't really felt the need to go back to them.
Yeah.
Like part of me is like, maybe I should take them to my work and just like put them on my desk just as gewgaws and knickknacks.
Yeah, but I mean, at some point, that's a whole lot of knickknacks.
Yeah,
but at least it's only once a year.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go back to Costco and see if they still have the German beer advent calendar, and then like crush them in half the amount of time.
I've done the beer advent calendar before, and it ended up because I don't always want a beer on like a weekday or whatever, so I would just put them in the fridge and bank them, and then Friday comes around, I'm like, well, I've got 4 beers from the week, and this is a gift, so it'd be rude to not drink.
Yeah, I haven't done the Costco one before. I've seen it. Obviously, there's a place local to me when I was in North Carolina that did a really good custom one where like they have this nice box and you actually do punch out all of them.
That's exactly what I did. Yeah.
I got to Costco one, and the year they weren't 12-ounce cans; they were 16-ounce cans.
Nice,
and I'm
just
not
a little
even
bonus.
A beer drinker, so like I was kind of like you, and I got to the end of the thing. I'm like, I have like 12 beers that I'm just like this is just an unending tide. I don't do one of these a day, so I wound up giving like half of them to a friend, and he liked it so much that for his birthday next year I got him the same thing. Which was the problem is his birthday was in October, so like here's your birthday gift. Like technically,
enjoy it in 2 months.
I sure hope you have the willpower to last 2 months here.
Or hey, here's 24 beers. Either way,
yeah.
That's our way of thinking about it, and probably the more reasonable one. So, we are not quite a beer podcast. We are a Star Wars podcast.
We'll see.
This might be the first time we've talked about beer, but I'm happy to talk about it.
Yeah.
We gotta, if we start recording on weekends, then we'll become a beer podcast.
Yeah. Well, I think we have to. I think we're contractually obligated to bring on Carl if that does happen, though. So
yeah, Carl, if you're listening, come join us. We'll talk beer.
Yep. But anyways, with all that out of the way, there is some comic book stuff to talk about, and some news. Oz did not make the fatal mistake of saying no news in the rundown before the show started, but it happened nonetheless.
Oh, keep Twitter open because something might break right now.
That's true. I mean, honestly, it did happen a couple weeks ago. But we have an announcement for a new High Republic comic. It is High Republic Adventures Saber for Hire, a 4-issue miniseries starting on April 10th, written by Kevin Scott and art from Rachel Stott. Dark Horse, if I didn't mention that already. And it is a follow-up miniseries about Ty York. So pretty much a spiritual successor or just a straight sequel, I would say, to Monster of Temple Peak from Phase 1.
Yeah, it's like how I think we can call Nameless Terror like 1.5 maybe because it's got the framing story.
It's true.
Which
Nameless Terror, Edge of Bounce President.
Yeah.
I
I don't think that you're gonna have to have read Nameless Terror. There's like, I don't know, maybe 12
probably
Ty
not.
York pages in there, and they're pretty inconsequential. It was a great book. Don't get me wrong. I liked Monster of Temple Peak a lot. I'm excited for this. They got the same artist back. Kevin's back, obviously.
And they're also bringing back her now apprentice Druin, who is the blue rabbit-looking dude from the first miniseries, who's now joining her behind the storm wall.
Which I think we just talked about this yesterday, but we did see him at the end of Nameless Terror in the flash forward, right?
Right.
Yes, so we know he stuck around. That's cool. I'm pumped for this. This is like the least surprising news we could have gotten, other than, I mean, they still haven't officially announced a manga.
Blade.
Oh, or the Broken Blade was the other one I was gonna say. Yeah, because I mean they've advertised it like next time on a Porter Ingalls story, but we haven't heard about it yet. So that and the official announcement for the manga hasn't come, even though there was an Amazon listing or something.
There was a listing, it's might have been on Amazon
listing.
or on like Viz's website, but also in the back of Volume 2, which came out over a year,
a while ago.
Yeah, I think it was like April 2022. In the back of the Volume 2, before we even knew, I think, what Phase 2 is going to be, was the to be continued in Volume 3.
Yeah,
page.
But then maybe that was precedent anyway. So there will be news on that at some point. It won't surprise us either. We've gotten a lot of news lately, so it's nice to have just something comfortable. Like, okay, yeah, I saw that coming, but I'm glad we know.
Yeah, I'm glad it's official, and we have.
And probably by the time this episode comes out, I'm gonna call my shot. I think there will be a High Republic show that has come out since we recorded this.
We know that she recorded one.
Yeah, that was the end of November, so we're probably coming up on the point where they would post that, and that means probably even more things that we'll talk about in like a month. So, anyways,
not High Republic or comic, but I do want to mention we also just got that Mace Windu novel. Announced, which comes out around the same time. Comes out around the same time as the comic, which is nice synergy as typically
Mace
happens.
Windu, The Glass Abyss by Stephen Barnes, author of Cestus Deception, I believe.
Bringing back a Legends classic. I have not read Cestus Deception. It's one of the weirder titles just because it's hard to say.
It's strange. But the exciting thing, I think, for a lot of people is this is a Mace Windu book that takes place between The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, and therefore is like one of like less than 5 canon stories that take place in a 10-year gap of time in the main saga, joining Queen Shadow and the 4-issue Obi-Wan and Anakin miniseries.
Are there any of those Age of Republic that fall in there? That's the only other thing I could think of.
Maybe
the Darth Maul issue might.
Yeah. Well, no, Darth Maul's dead. Well,
dead. Yeah, that's duh. So then, I guess you've got the Maul story from Adventures.
It's probably the Count Dooku one. Maybe takes place in there because like he's like not out as a Sith at that point.
Yeah. Anyway, it's very few. The Dooku episode of Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah, Tales of the Jedi also. But
we clearly prepped this section.
Oh yeah, 100%. But yeah, coming out around similar time as the Mace Windu 4-issue miniseries,
which is kind of like how when they did the Obi-Wan comic and Padawan and Brotherhood all around the same time. Yeah,
and the TV show and
that's true, and the big one. So now someone made the joke. I'm sure people on Twitter all are. They're like, "This is confirmation. They're bringing Mace back for the Mandalorian."
Oh yeah, it took me about I think 5 minutes into the announcement for someone to make a Mace is alive joke, but
I will quit Star Wars. I mean, I won't, but I will. I'll be disappointed.
It'll be like I know we tease about it and I make a lot of fun jokes about it, but like if it's done well, it could be really well done. Like maybe, but I feel like the most common way like I could see this happening is like, and then he has amnesia.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Darth Maul surviving was a stupid idea. It made for a few really cool stories. So I could get over it.
yeah.
Look, as long as it's good.
Yeah, if you make a good story, fine. I got over Palpatine returning by the time the text hit the top of the screen in Rise of Skywalker. So I know I could get over Mace too. It would bother me a little more than that.
When they announced him on Fortnite.
Yeah, I don't play Fortnite, so I didn't know about that. But yeah, that's all the news we got this week, I think. Hashtag Mace lives.
Speaking of alternate realities and strange people living, Caleb, what have you been reading lately?
I saw you. You looked that up. I pulled it out the other week because of this. Like we were talking about white cloaked Vader. I was like, maybe I should reread this. So I reread Star Wars Infinities. It's good. Like there's like they only did like 3 of them, which is the first 3 movies, 4, 5, and 6. Like the first one is arguably the best one because it asked the question, what happens if Luke Skywalker missed the shot on the Death Star. And it kind of goes into like a fun, like alternate like retelling of Episode 5 if the Rebel Alliance was completely and utterly crushed, and has Yoda facing off against the Emperor on the Peace Star, which is the renamed Death Star because it's still out there. That one was like the most interesting and well thought out one. The other 2 were not as well put together, I think. If you ever find this trade, though, like the majority of it is the Star Wars. I've talked about this several times. It's worth getting into. Did
you reread it?
I did reread it. Like I had just had a bout of insomnia and just like read this entire thing in like one night. It's something.
Dude,
it's something. The Star Wars, I think, will be a little more charitable to it now. It's good. It's very. There's a lot of really fascinating and fun things, and the art is great. Like the guys who did
Mike Mayhew, right?
Give me 45 seconds.
I want to say it's someone who does that kind of style.
I think so. Yeah, it might. Yeah, they list Mike Mayhew here. So yeah, it's really fascinating, and there's a lot of.
Oh wow, you're right. Yeah,
as I said, the art is great in it, and it's weird because the Wookiees show up at essentially acting like the Ewoks.
Right.
So it's like, okay, like all these seeds are here, but then they also team up with the Sith, who are just like Jedi, but just like the bad boys of the Force using thing, and there's a trying to team up with the 2 of them as they fight the Empires. Wild. It's
well, like I said,
I would love to do a whole thing on it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said last time, we're gonna do that sometime once. Probably won't be till Phase 3 is over. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But at some point, we're gonna do that.
2026, here we come.
Exactly. Last point. I wish they would bring this back. Like they had some pretty good success with the What If Marvel. So like,
don't say that. People on the internet are unhinged about their What If takes.
That was all done before the prequels came out, right? Like,
so that was early. It was like I think it's the prequels. No, it was I think at least during the prequels sort of thing. So yeah, 2001, 2002, 2003.
All right, okay.
Yeah. So like it was around that middle sort of section there. So I would still love to do it as long as they, there's a writer who wanted to tell something interesting and not just like, we had a success on the first one. Now we got to hammer out 2 more.
I mean, we got Visions now. I'm pretty happy with that. We got Visions
going, which is a similar thing, but like without. Well, what if Luke Skywalker had a red lightsaber?
Like let's just Star Wars is big enough. We can tell stories not related to the original.
What if Star Wars but zombies?
Oh.
I do like Marvel. What if? I don't want to be throwing too much shade, but they don't need to do that for Star Wars.
They don't need to copy paste it. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, they've already done that with the Mandoverse, and this is not the place to talk about how well that's gone.
Well, anyways, what I've been reading lately, personally,
yes.
I actually have been rereading or re-listening to Light of the Jedi for the first time since it came out. This will probably be out by the time this episode drops, but I got to guest on a podcast talking about kind of early phase 1, which was fun with someone reading it for the first time. So if you want to check out Stardust Records, I did a fun episode with Sabi over there. So I did not, of course, finish the book in time for that episode, but
I've been there.
we made it through. I've read it before. It was all fine, but I'm continuing on rereading with it just for fun. And then oh, sorry, go ahead, Caleb.
I was about to say, like, is it like as you're going through, it's like there's that character and there's character and there's that charter, like Glove Shadow after Glove Shadow.
Have you picked up any phase 2 hints, callbacks?
Here, let me.
I guess.
I have I can pull it up really quickly. I had a thread of like things that I was talking that I noticed that were fun. And
Which I guess you probably didn't want to tell him, like, hey, this character.
Yeah, right. One that I was listening to today that I thought was interesting was they were talking. It was like when Marchion takes his helmet off for the first time around the Tempest Runners, and the quote is, "Even though the Tempest Runners had seen Marchion unmasked many times, his appearance tended to have a particular effect on those around him." ... For many of the galaxy species, the features of Marchion's people meant predator on some deep instinctive level.
Oh yeah, that's very
not exactly like directly phase 2, but
yeah, I mean, that's kind of like Marta and Yana's whole
Yana, Eye of the Storm, definitely, teasing into the Eberoni people as a whole. So that was fun. And then I just got this actually in the mail today for video watchers, the character encyclopedia from DK, written by Amy Rickow and Megan Krause. So it's been fun so far. I don't know. Mostly, I think most of the way through the Jedi thing. So it's a lot of character bios for the most part so far.
It's like what probably a lot of people expected Chronicles to be. It's like just a classic encyclopedia. Like it's not written in universe.
Right.
It's all just like, sort of like objective facts. It's
like character. Here's a little summary about them and like some. I mean, the cool thing is it adds like heights of characters. Like, oh, that's cool. Reith Silas is 5'8". Neat. Or Obertuck Glee or whatever is like 7'4" or something like that. Like,
that's my boy.
That's neat. They have it in feet, not meters.
They have both.
Oh, good.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So that's been fun. I like not adding a whole lot to my experience, but I'm reading it anyways. It's been enjoyable.
It's nice. I think I busted it out last week when I was reading Eye of Darkness, just because like. I mean, obviously you can just pull up the book, but it's nice to not have to get your phone out to like, what does this character look like again?
Yeah, especially with like weird species. You're like, oh god, what's an Ardinian again or something like that? And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say half my time reading, I've just got to pull it out to pull out my phone to look up a species because I can't remember them all. Like, I know a lot too.
Yeah, it's all fun and games until you get to the Path of Vengeance, and you're like, "What's Bocano species again?" And you're like, "Oh god,
I tried to Google it. It's like, I guess I can't phonetically spell this. I have no idea what this is.
Oh, have you not seen it?
Oh no, what is he?
It is. Did you remember the guy from Rise of Skywalker from the very beginning?
Oh my lord!
Win the war, Bulio.
Yep.
Oh, Bulio's my guy.
I believe it was voiced by Mark Hamill, right?
I think you're right. Yeah. This is such a tangent, but the first time I saw that on opening night, I thought his name was Julio, which I thought was just really fun. It's like an in-universe Hispanic name.
Yeah, no, he's
out of nowhere. But yeah,
playing for the Falcons on his off time. But yeah, no, Bulio. Just imagine that little weird tusked dude kissing Martero. That's
like I was getting mad, like bottom stripper, like female romance sort of things. But now that I put him, it's like that doesn't look like Mr. Darcy at all.
Yeah,
strange. Yep,
that's right.
Ovission.
So that's a fun one.
And if you want to picture characters, this is a great book for you, unless you are reading Cataclysm or Convergence.
Yeah, unless you want to know who what Ziri or
The
Fontu look
main
like.
two characters, Ziri and Fontu, do not have art, and I've got questions.
Which just,
Other
just
than
like
that,
blows my mind because there are other characters in this book that got original art.
yeah,
Like
it
the
makes
Ada
no
Forte
sense.
art I noticed when like that, and I think also the Kevmo art are both seem original. I didn't recognize them from anywhere before, and it's like not only did those characters get original art, and these two other main characters still have no official depiction of each of themselves,
Right.
but Kevmo and Ada specifically already had art of them. We didn't need more.
Mhm.
I mean, I'll always take more Kevin.
Yeah, it's like I'm not
I
complaining,
agree.
but like if you're gonna, pay someone to do two character portraits, why don't we do them for again the main two characters of the adult novels of Phase 2 that still have no official artwork of them?
I
Yeah.
I think wasn't until I got through most of Convergence. God, I'll figure it out someday. Convergence. I thought that the dude on the second book I thought that was Fontu.
Nope, that's Axel.
That's Axel Greylock. I found that out way later. So I was picturing the wrong guy in my head.
Yeah, because Axel and Gela both got concept art very early on, like before the books came out.
Interesting.
It's weird, but that's a rant for another day. We have a lot of rants for another day. We need to go back and make a list of all the rants we've set aside.
Maybe on April 1st we'll do our rant show.
Yeah. I don't know how much different it'll be than this, but I'll take
all
my quick
rants.
turn. Star Wars wise, I have been finally reading The Princess and the Scoundrel. This book's from like 2 years ago. It will be
yeah, I think it was. I think it was a little over a year ago. I think it was. I think it was like April or May of 22.
It took me so long to read this that the hotel has closed that it is based on. I'm about 2/3 of the way through. This will be my final canon book. It's the only one I haven't finished yet.
Oh, nice.
It was just such a easy one to push on the back burner when new stuff comes out, but we're in a drought right now, so I was like, all right, I'll finally finish it. It's okay. I
enjoyed it.
It's not my cup of tea. Just the setting of it. I mean, it feels a little forced, obviously doing the hotel, and I just don't really care about Han and Leia's honeymoon. I love Beth Revis. Rebel Rising, so good, but it's not really doing it for me. I listened to the audiobook of what I had read last year to like as a reminder, and it's cool how they do back and forth,
right?
The two narrators.
Is it Mark Thompson and January Lavoie, or
is it Saskia Marabel? I don't remember. It could be January Lavoie. Basically, one of it's two known audiobook people,
right? But it's a fun one. Yeah, again, I think I agree. Not my favorite, and some of the like advertising for the hotel at the time were kind of over the top and almost funny, but now that it doesn't exist anymore, is like even a different level. Because there's like one that stuck with me because in the hotel there was no window because I have that immersion. So there's a environment simulator room or something like that where there's like skylights and open kind of area. It's like a little like interior garden kind of atrium area. And they like talk about that in the book, and I'm like, again, we're selling this fake this $5,000 a weekend hotel, and the fact that it doesn't have windows, so we had to put it's just kind of comical.
Yeah.
Like I'm curious, like that their like fake thing on the in the space station, was that, or in the cruiser, was that just like the atrium of like we expose you to the middle floor to heat?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, no, I will not know. I know people that know.
Yeah.
But
what my favorite moment so far is there's Han carves he and Leia's initials like onto a wall behind a pillar somewhere, and I was like, I really hope that detail was in the hotel. I kind of doubt it.
No, it was.
No way.
Yeah, 100%. There are people that took pictures of it.
That's amazing. Yeah, I hadn't looked into that. Okay, that's fun. That just amped up the book a little for me.
Yeah.
Kind of like, let's tie it back to High Republic comics. Whose initial? It's Orla Drenny and
Comac on Padawan.
Yeah,
I'm reading
from
Padawan.
Padawan. But yeah, that's cool. And then the other thing I just picked up, I went to New York, found a cool little bookshop there. So I wanted to buy something, and I found the complete collection of Middle West, a book written by Scotty Young, who's one of my favorite artists. His art, God, how do I point? Is there? I got a mirror in my camera. That's his art from Wizard of Oz adaptation. He actually didn't do the art on this. I haven't gotten far into it, but I've wanted to read this for a while, and all 18 issues in one collection. So I'm excited to dig into that. But enough about what we're currently reading. Let's talk about what we have read.
Yeah, we got some big issues coming out this week. First off, we're going to start with the return of the High Republic Adventures, the return of Zeen and Qort. This is issue 1 from Dark Horse, written by Daniel Jose Older, with pencils from Harvey Tullibau and colors from Michael Atiyeh. So, Caleb, what has happened in issue 1, and also kind of just leading into this story?
It's very much just like the Air one we'll talk about, Shadows of Starlight. It kind of says, hey, this is 1 year after the fall of Starlight. Zeen, our Mikian, is seen singing on a planet of Iriadu, which is, I love that planet because that's where Tarkin comes from.
That's right.
Where Tarkin comes from, and it's a planet that got bombed by an emergence in Phase 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's becoming a very important planet in canon.
Yeah. Oz also just read the first short story, I guess, as well. So
I actually haven't finished it yet. I know it's only like 6 pages, but I was at lunch and didn't finish it. Yeah,
I'm going to go on.
It is set there.
I'm going to go on another quick tangent here, but I loved in the first book, Light of Jedi, where it's like, we're we were bombed by these people, so we're going to like raid their capital, the Nihil's capital ship, and directly capture them. And we're from Iriadu. I'm like, oh, this is Tarkin's people. This makes
they go crazy on them.
Mess them
Yeah.
up. Is it an annual or just an issue of Darth Vader where he has Vader?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's on Chandra's Folly, I think, not actually on Iriadu.
Oh, okay. Well,
but yes, it's like issue 16 of the Soul Run.
Because it ties in with the Tarkin book where he learned all that stuff. Yeah. Anyway, Iriadu, cool people.
Exactly. Great people there. Anyway, so it's a year after the fall. Zeen is singing her heart out at a bar, singing to the patrons and to the holograms of the dead Jedi, but is angered when Luli Talasona's visage is added to the audience. Qort comforts her friend, or comforts her as he points them towards the lead. A warlord has been spreading the message, I have what the Mikian wants. Breaking protocol, Qort, Zeen, and their droid 5A G3, break camp quarantine and head off to the planet of Barncrot. Brannakarant. It'll be fine. All right, the trio finds. Yeah, I wrote it down. It's just like I just wrote it down like, and then that's the planet. And then I got to it. That sounds fine. I looked at him like, crap, I didn't pronounce this beforehand at all. I don't know if you did either, Daniel. Daniel, did you write this? Did you pronounce this? Anyway,
the classic fantasy sci-fi thing where your mind just skips.
Yep.
It's like I'll remember it next time it comes up. I just will never pronounce it. Anyway, the trio finds a mob of Mikians ready to take on a Nihil stronghold, angry about the oppression. So Zeen sparks off the rebellion and charges through the enemies to the throne room. There, she pins and disarms the warlord, who is none other than Lula herself in the flesh.
This is a pretty crazy issue. I had seen theories. I don't know that if they like came from leaks, but definitely theories for a while that maybe this warlord was Lula, and I don't know why people called that so early. But
I don't know. I think that if you just like assume that
she definitely wasn't dead, but like
we knew she wasn't dead. But so you're like, okay, well, this bad guy, it's probably gonna be a twist, and then once you think there's a twist, that's kind of the option.
Exactly. Like, look, a Nihil we never heard about. Either their cannon fodder or they're super, super important.
It's Lula or it's Crix.
Yeah.
But it is Lula.
It could have been Farzala.
Interestingly enough, one of the covers for issue 2 has Lula and this, or Zeen, and who we now know as Lula, fighting. And the cover for issue 3 has Lula and Cantum fighting. So it could just be a random comic cover that means absolutely nothing, or maybe Lula's been going through some shit for the past year. I don't know.
Like, that's my question. It's like, Lula, what you doing, girl? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, is she just like deep undercover? Like, why am I blanking on the other from Star Wars? You know, the High Republic. You know, comic series. Oh, the Jedi Knight.
Oh, Keith.
Yeah,
goes
Keith.
undercover.
You know,
Yep.
she went undercover. So
She
is
did.
it similar?
It's possible she is on the edge of the occlusion zone, and I mean, she's like described as a Nihil warlord, but she definitely seems like she's been kind of passive. Like, it's not like she's going out and like raiding. She just kind of has locked down this little world, seemingly.
Yeah,
Exactly,
As
so.
far as we know, it's oh shoot, I don't know, but it's a really exciting start back to these characters because, like I've said many times, I liked Phase 2 in general fine, and I liked High Republic Adventures mostly in Phase 2, but the Phase 1 run was so good. I love these characters. This is the best, I think, group of characters out of all the sort of sects of High Republic characters. And so, like, Midnight Horizon fans are eating on this one. It opens with her like living her pop star dreams,
and also we get a flashback to Midnight Horizon with her sending that like hollow message to Lula at the end of that story. So yeah, it's been great. I really enjoyed like kind of talking about these group of characters. One of the things that really meant a lot to me was when you start Phase 1, Qort does not speak basic or English at all. You cannot understand him. It's kind of, it seems like it's a Chewbacca scenario where some characters can understand what he's saying, but the reader does not. And slowly he learns broken basic, is able to use some words that we know, and flash forward a full year after the fall of Starlight, and his basic is perfectly fine. He can speak normally, or speak our language. And then even crazier is Zeen has gone ahead and learned Aloxian for him. So now they're both bilingual and can like talk back and forth in either language, which is kind of super cool. I'm like, my headcanon is that maybe Zeen learned it to help him get better at his basic. But
I think she's also just like canonically the best friend.
She is the best friend. And I think this is also very cool coming from DJO, who like has written professionally about like how different languages are treated in literature, and specifically like, you know, if characters speaking in Spanish, you don't need to like put in italics, like they're saying words. You don't need to like denote it as something uniquely different. So I know it's something he is personally very passionate about, but yeah,
I like that.
I really like the inclusion of the besties, Qort and
do
Zeen.
Like at the same time, how weren't you saying the other day that the Aloxian is not like replaced dialogue? It's just he just writes it, and they're speaking gibberish to one another.
There someone did, I don't know if I have it saved anymore. Someone did find what the like there's a font.
Yeah, I mean it's clearly a cipher. I'd be curious if it actually said anything.
I think some of them maybe did, but they weren't like super meaningful, or like I guess
like when
in
Mando, how they snuck in some Arbesh Easter eggs. I think that was in Mando. And one of them says like, if you translate this, you can read it, or I don't know, something silly.
That it happens occasionally in Star Wars, but yeah.
It's a fun thing though that works well in the comic because you can have the speech bubbles, but like you mentioned Chewbacca, like in Solo when Han speaks Shuriwook, that's a little goofy. But when characters do it in a book, you don't have to listen to a human try to.
He also got Burryaga's master Nibasik. She learned Shuriwook and how to. I don't know if she learned how to speak it, but she definitely knew how to listen and interpret it.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, I always just like assume Jedi can understand it. I assume basically the good guys who. In
Light of the Jedi specifically, she's the only one that can.
Oh, really? I forgot.
Yeah, because like there's like because I've been re-listening to it. Like at the beginning when like Burryaga's the one that senses that people are alive in the emergencies. She's the one that can understand him and has to relay it to the rest of the Jedi flying.
At least of the people who are in their vectors. I mean, Bell can obviously understand it. We'll get to that.
Like, is Shuriwook just that easy to learn? It seems like everyone picks it up pretty quickly.
I don't know. Well, you know, hey, we could also have I don't know if it might be Dark Force Rising, where there's the the Wookiee that has a speech impediment that allows him to speak broken English or whatever.
Oh, that was no, that was from the Thrawn trilogy, the first Thrawn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought it was Dark Force Rising, not Year of the Empire.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
I think it was there.
Whichever one it is. Yeah, I guessed it on Legends Look Back, one of our sister podcasts once. We did Wookiee Week together. And I don't know anything about Legends, but Jared still had me on. And when he told me about that, I was like, that's weird. And then he played some audio from the audiobook.
God, it's so rough.
It is Mark
bad.
Thompson. And so we met Mark at Celebration. Jared was like, I gotta ask you about the Wookiee with a speech impediment who speaks basic. It's awesome. It's so goofy. It's dumb.
You have to remember this book was written in like 1993.
Yeah.
Probably the audiobook wasn't that far afterwards.
Yeah. But that was fun. But here it's very touching. It's not silly. It's a best friend talking to one of her best friends. Which, speaking of some of her best friends, we do see the alleged holograms of some of her dead friends,
dead or missing.
Yeah. What I like is in that first spread of her on stage, you've got Stellan, Orla, and Loden. That makes sense. And then you've got Reginald Cole.
Baby.
yeah. Someone remembered him.
Very gluppy, which is a nice reminder that like there are these important characters that we don't get to spend time with. At least they're important in universe. But because I looked him up, I was like, I know the name, but what is he from? He's not really.
He's name dropped in one of the later High Republic issues where it's just like you don't even see art of him. It's like a Reginald Cole like checking in from his vector
like off screen.
And then the big thing was with Shadows of Starlight 1, a fan artist had their design ripped.
Yeah.
For the Jedi Missing Wall. This is ISOB_ELL is the Twitter username who did that.
We talked about that on that episode. Have you found out if anything ever came of that?
I don't know. I'm assuming nothing has happened. This is definitely still that design, which is interesting, but it is clearly, it's inspired by that design, but it is, Harvey's drawing and illustration completely. But
Which on that note, we got art from Harvey Tollebaugh and Nick Brokenshire here, two of the OGs from Phase 1.
Is Nick Brokenshire really?
He's credited in at least on my credits page.
Yeah.
He's not on the comic, and I'd opened it up to check, so I don't know where.
Look on your credits page.
Yeah, second page. It should be there. Art by.
I don't know if I'm blind. I literally just see.
What?
Okay, well, on this digital one.
Yeah. Same on my digital version. It had it.
Yeah, I was like, well, because I saw Caleb, you put it in the show notes. I'm like, I don't see.
Okay, well.
And
Nick Brokenshire may have contributed to this, or he may not.
He is definitely listed on the future issues, though. I saw that.
Yeah,
but I don't think he did. Maybe he did the map page. I don't know.
Or he could have done inks, and they just miscredited.
He is not in my comic book. So
yeah. Well, the art from Harvey Tollebaugh is outstanding,
as always.
I liked Tony Bruno's work. He did most of Phase 2, from what I remember. But I've always really liked Harvey Tollebaugh's take on these characters. And now we get a whole new. I mean, everyone's getting aged up.
Their character designs are a lot. Like I really like their new character designs.
Yeah, Jacked Lula.
That's what they all feel like a lot more together.
Edgy Qort. Yeah. Jack Zeen, Edgy Qort. Lula's got new hair.
I mean, everyone
and a helmet that fits it too.
Yeah, everyone in Shadows of Starlight is getting their 5 o'clock shadow, but here, I mean, they aged up a lot because that was one thing about Phase 1 is their depiction was a little inconsistent in how old they were.
I think it felt like when they did the artist, which I think Tony Bruno did a decent amount of Phase 1, it seemed like they jumped it felt like they jumped a lot further.
When the book started, I thought they were like younglings.
They were like 12 or like 10, and then they become. And suddenly, you're a senior in high school. It's like, oh wow, okay.
And now they are full grown. But a really fun issue that like jumped right into stuff, and it didn't reintroduce anything. It's not like, hey, here's the crew from the Starhopper, let's get to know them again. It's like, no, here's what happened after Midnight Horizon.
Like we got 3 characters. We got Zeen, we got Qort, and we got Lula. Those are the 3 characters.
Hey, and 5A, the droid.
And 5A, and 5A.
Another fun, actually, cameo sort of is at the beginning scene when she's playing in this like jazz club. It's Cyan Holt is playing piano, which I
noticed that right
cool.
before we started recording, and I meant to double check to see if that was her. Yeah.
Yep. No, it's Cyan Holt. So, and it is her band, because I was going back and forth with Daniel on Twitter when some of these like preview panels were dropping. I'm like, oh yeah, like making jokes about them both playing jazz music, and he's like, take a closer look, and it is her band.
That's great. That's very classic Star Wars author, bring their gloves into their other work.
Just like the was it the Jedi Rumble race that has like the characters from like the manga and you know,
that day you and I was rereading the comics, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that Lily Toriasi or whatever her name is in the background of High Republic #3 or High Republic Adventures, an early issue, and we like scoured the internet and couldn't find a mention of this, and it's technically not confirmed, but
no, I think we had tweeted at him about it,
and he was like, that was my intention.
But she's wearing a Padawan belt, so it kind of gets a little confusing.
Yeah, you got into the whole belt thing. I still think it is. But in this one, we have some fun cameos as well. I remember when we talked about this last week when it came out, my one sort of beef with it is more of like it's a meta talk about Phase 3, is that like there's already been at least 2, maybe 3, actually at least 3, I think, instances of like a character being like, oh no, this person's dead, and then another character like, no, they're not, they're still out there, and then they find them. We've had Bell and Burry, and then we've got Avar and Elzar, and now we've got this.
We got Loden too.
Yeah. Well, that was back in Phase 1.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it makes sense. You put all these characters missing out there, but like at some point, some of these missing characters have to be dead, right?
But I don't. But it can't be Farsala. I don't want Farsala to be dead.
No, I think Farsal's probably fine. But like, I think the only one that's basically the only one that's like for sure dead is Loden and Stellan. Yeah, I mean, like all the basically people that got dusted in Stellan.
Yeah, I mean, we've known everyone knows Loden's dead, and Stellan. I guess they don't technically know about Orbitak. He died.
Yeah, I don't know that anyone knows about him.
I think Buck's Buckets of Blood's got to be dead. I think he's got to go out the way he can.
Yeah, I'd be cool with him not having survived. I've loved him.
Well,
and I know
if Buckets is dead, that probably means Farzal is dead too.
Yeah, but I know DJO loves Buckets of Blood. I think he said he was his favorite character from Phase 1. He loves those like goofy characters, but that one works as a sacrifice for me. I don't know. We'll find out at some point, I'm sure.
Probably
who's really dead.
Unfortunately, the High Republic Character Encyclopedia spoils some, but also purposely did not spoil others. Like it'll tell you like what phase they're in, and there are some characters that were shockingly alive in Phase 3 or shockingly included in Phase 3, and the symbol for Phase 3 is there, and then others, it's the reverse for some others, where it's like they're in Phase 3, but they don't have a Phase 3 symbol. So
yeah, that's I mean, that's always a beef with reference books,
especially once they're published before things are over.
Of stuff that's ongoing. But like this would have made sense. I don't know. I guess you could have done it in between any phase, or just wait a year and a half and do it at the end of Phase 3. I had the same. We've talked a ton about timelines, Star Wars timelines, and it actually came out, I think, at a pretty decent time. The MCU just did one, and it dropped like in the middle of what was that, Phase 4? I think it's maybe got a little bit of Phase 5 stuff in it. I'm not as.
Is Phase 5 a thing already? Is that?
Yeah, I think that's what the Marvels started. I'm not as in tune with the MCU as I used to be, or it was started. Anyway, it's just it comes at a weird time. It also, in my opinion, was not as informative. But that's because it's just the films. They were like, we're not going to try to do the tie-in comics or the old Netflix shows or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. which wasn't surprising, but kind of a disappointment.
It's like
Right.
those were your idea.
Yeah, and it doesn't have the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies or Andrew Garfield's. But anyway, that's just how reference books work. It's like
Right.
unless you wait until the end, which Star Wars
The
won't
complete
have.
guide, the newest ultimate complete guide.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
complete guide 2024.
So I do expect
2025 edition.
there will be an updated character encyclopedia at some point. I hope there's an updated timelines. I don't know that there will be.
I could see it being like an every like 3 or 4 years kind of type thing, especially once like when we get to like the point of new movies. I think that's where they're going to be like,
that's actually
okay,
right, especially Dawn of the Jedi. I'm still bummed. There's that what's it called? Skywalker. I think it's just called the Skywalker Saga. That book,
in universe book about the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
it
Family at
covers-
War.
No, not Family at War. The one by it's by Delilah S. Dawson. Yeah.
I don't know if I've heard of this one.
Anyway, it covers the first 8 movies, and it's like just put out a new one that has like an extra chapter in it. Yeah, it's called the Skywalker Saga by Delilah S. Dawson. It came out in 2019, right before that last movie. It's got it's a totally different size and shape than any other book I own. So Jacob had another 1-year collection. But that's not related to comics. Any other thoughts, guys, on High Republic Adventures #1?
It was really fun. Yeah.
He's good. I like it. I wish we had more Qort.
Yeah, we need more Qort. I've got a feeling he's gonna, because I feel like in Phase 1 he kind of did like little mini arcs rather than like 6-issue arcs, like 2, or like just there was like an issue where I guess it was maybe the annual, but Orbituk had like a whole story of his own. That was in the
it was like issues
Bake
6
Off.
through 8. No,
Yeah.
it was when they were on Nal
Okay.
Hutta.
But yeah, basically they traded kind of viewpoints. And so I hope that we get some of that here. I kind of think maybe Lula, like we'll catch up with Lula in the next one.
Yeah, you're probably gonna have to like have at least like a flashback of how she got from Starlight crashing to where she is now. And I'm just curious, is she actually at odds with anyone, or like why has she just been chilling on this planet?
I feel like since only Zeen and Lula know what's going on, I feel like they're going to like drag this out for a little bit. Like Lula will be like, keep me secret from Qort when he shows up or whenever. Maybe that's what I'm going for.
I like that.
Yeah, I feel like if I can label any complaint about against Phase 3 right now, can't have less of a complaint and more just like it'll make sense when it goes on. Like, boy, these timelines, like everyone's on a slightly different timeline on every single.
You don't want to get into our conversations with Miaz and Trev.
It's like I'm just as a reader sort of thing. It's like I get it. You have like a lot of like very interesting things here, but we want to get to like a new start here. I can't wish they would just start at the new start and then just like die.
Yeah, I wish that Shadows of Starlight had come out completely entirely by now. And publishing, I get it, because everything else seems to be at around the same-ish time. We'll see. I've got a feeling if the Stormwall is going to expand in this series, which happens during Edge of Darkness.
Yeah, because this is it starts exactly a year and a day after the fall of Starlight, which is around when Eye of Darkness starts. I think we pinpointed it that this would have happened like, was it 12 chapters into Eye of Darkness?
Or so. That's when.
Spoilers: a character dies.
Yeah, there's a
character. You read this. You read this
gets
comic.
Mentioned in this.
Pratre
Vader gets
R.I.P.
axed.
So
Monk.
Yeah, and Eye of Darkness does not take place over that long of a span of time, so you're likely going to see the Stormwall expansion. I guess we're just straight up spoiling Eye of Darkness a little bit, not fully, but some of the things.
Minor. It's a very minor spoiler, I would say. Both of those. I mean, Pratre Vader's. Well, one, his death is spoiled here, and 2, it's pretty telegraphed in the prologue.
Yeah.
Also, is Patre Vader anyone's favorite Jedi?
I really enjoy him.
Let's talk about
I was about to say, he jumped in my estimations infinitely in this comic that we're about to talk about.
All right,
Shadows of Starlight, number 3.
So this is written by Charles Soule with pencils from Jethro Morales and colors from Chris Sotomayor. We're following up on the next, I guess, kind of prequel to Eye of Darkness. This one is following Bell, Zettifar, and Burryaga, really telling a lot of the stories from Tales of Light and Life, if you've jumped into that at all. But yeah, Caleb, what happened in this issue?
Like all the other SOS stories, we start right after the fall of Starlight, where Padawan, Bell, Zettifar, and Master Elzar Mann are talking about what to do after the fall. Bell wants to look for his lost Wookiee friend Burryaga and throw shade at Mann for suggesting that he's being too emotional about his friends. I just really love that little tension that he had there of like throwing shade on, like, you know, Elzar. Like if it was if Avar, you
Chris.
would if it was Avar Chris, you'd be like all over that. You would not give up hope ever.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you know, after a month, Bell and Burry are finally reunited after a salvage operation frees the Wookiee, and then the pair return to Coruscant, where they are hastily knighted and told to stay put. Nothing quite like, you know, returning and being given a promotion, you know. But Bill is not happy with the state of being, and proceeds and begins to chafe under these new rules. So Master Veter invites him to join a task force to patrol the border of the OZ. Burry is not happy with the decision his friend has made, but follows him, Bell, into danger to be a supportive person. A full 9 months after the fall, the Jedi are sitting on a remote outpost when the Nihil attacked, attempting to capture the Grand Master. Veter sends the younger Jedi away to protect the civilians, and despite being unarmed, puts up a heroic and pretty awesome fight before being overwhelmed by the Nihil and captured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were talking about how Patre Veter is no one's favorite Jedi, but
He's pretty dope.
He kicks some ass in this.
Like, I was about to say, like, I can't knew going into this, oh, Patre's not going to survive here. But then I read this issue, it's like, oh, wow. Like, he did like the whole Force Monk thing, like Avatar, like airbending, like, rocks around and crushing people. It's like, dude, this dude is dope. Can't believe we're about to lose him.
Yeah. Which that's very High Republic. Just like introduce someone, get to like him, and then guess what? He's dead.
Yeah, this was a cool issue. It was very interesting talking to people that had read Eye of Darkness, because the book opens with him being kidnapped and he dies, and people like, I had lots of people asking like, where does this happen? Like, how do we, like, what, how did he get kidnapped? And my assumption was like, well, it's probably, I'm going to guess, either in Shadows of Starlight 3 or 4, especially because they mentioned in the book that he was on a mission with Bell and Burryaga, and here we are. Here we have the explanation for what happened to him. I thought this was a very cool issue. So many things even beyond just like the Patre Vader that were just super interesting.
Well, obviously, number one, we got a big win for Glup Watch, because our favorite from Jedi Brave kids in every way. I think just one of them shows up. I could be wrong.
No, there's all three of them.
They're all in the background. Okay,
they're all in the background.
Only the one has dial. I gotta learn their. I mean, I have literally the book with their name in it. I don't know if they're in the character encyclopedia. I have not checked.
There's no way.
I'll look at some point while y'all are talking. I guess I have to learn their name first.
Here, I can check, because if it says their first appearances in Jedi Brave in every way,
there's no way that's in the table of contents. Good call. But I loved that scene, aside from like getting a giggle out of Charles putting his new pets in there, because we get to see drawings, which is neat. I mean, he's got an Apple Pencil for his little. I guess it's a Questus. I don't know if they use that term in the Jedi Temple, but
isn't Questus from? Yeah, Questus is from Chaos Rising, right?
That's a Chiss thing.
Yeah. But like those cool drawings, like our boy Orbituk is there.
Dude, I love the little Orbituk one. Yeah,
that's definitely drawn by one of the younger kids. But these other kids can like draw, man. Like that Loden one is a really cool style.
Yeah, Loden one has some crazy shading in it.
And then Estala Maru and Orbalin are back there.
I think Nibasik, Keeve, oddly, I don't know why she's there.
Oh, I guess that's Keeve. They're having visions of him.
Also
Bell's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a yeah. I guess it's not all dead people. So, but Jedi Brave is not in the
That makes
first
sense.
appearances key, so I'm gonna assume they do not exist in this book. I will double check
That's a
with
shame.
their character names and the encyclopedia in the back. Bree, John, and Toko, I think, are the characters' names.
Nice.
Oh yeah, because I remember joking about a second Bree. No,
Oh,
they're not
right.
in this book.
Okay, that makes sense. Anyway, speaking of cameos, is that Arkov who's knighting Burryaga?
That is my assumption. Yes.
I was about to
Okay.
say, it sure looks like it, you know?
I
Like,
love that, obviously.
it's great, but it is a little bit like, we got a
Right.
Wookiee. I guess we'll just have the other Wookiee knight him. That seems right.
Kind of sus.
Yeah, I mean, if Niv Asek's the only one who can speak Sherwook, then like maybe they should have given him to Arkov.
I guess it makes sense.
But yeah, that's sort of like, hey, he's had 2 masters die, and all the rest of us humans can't talk to him. So Arkov, can you come do this? But enough about background characters. Let's talk about the timeline in discrepancies here. No,
God.
there's some minor discrepancies. It's not a big deal. But what I actually want to talk about is how cool Burry's lightsaber is, because I know we've seen it before, but like seeing Elzar and Bell hold it,
like in a comic, that I've really got a good look
yeah,
at
like
it.
you get a sense of scale when you put it in Bell's hand. Yeah. It's
Or,
gigantic.
like, right next to it. It's like, oh wow, that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
There's a great page here where after they're knighted, and they have like matching like cummerbunds matching their lightsaber colors, and I think that's so cute.
It's the Padawan belt.
Yeah, that's which I didn't even realize really was a thing until you told me. This has been a while now.
It's a thing, except for if you're Nubs, and then it doesn't match. But otherwise, it's pretty consistent.
Maybe Nubs is colorblind.
Well,
Very possible.
Don't we see Nubs in Young Jedi Adventures get a new light? No, the Kai Brightstar got one of Yoda's old lightsabers. I haven't watched every episode of that, but
I've not either.
That's one of them.
Hey, they had a Lego short come out today. That was kind of fun. But
for Young Jedi?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
It was just Kai, Liss, and Yoda. No Nubs, sadly.
Oh,
but
man.
This is Nubs erasure, and I won't stand for it.
But anyways, yeah, this was a cool issue. Like, yeah, there's some interesting timeline kind of discrepancies because it overlaps so heavily with the Tales of Light and Life issue. But I mean, the story they told us is the same. It's just it's like a matter of weeks. Yeah,
makes
like
no difference.
Unless you're sicko like Trev, it's fine.
Got Trev all pressed.
One thing I was really happy to see is Indira Stokes' return, because I thought it's been so bizarre how they've treated her after the Fallen Star. It's like, yes, we know Loden is the guy that is always Bell's A1, but Indira was like close to him even before she took on being his master, and the fact that she was not mentioned in the Tales of Light and Life, or Eye of Darkness when we see his POV, and like this is the first time she's gotten any real coverage since then. I thought it was kind of bizarre.
Yeah, and I mean, because it's been a while since I've read Fallen Star, I had forgotten that she,
she was like
injuries.
Yeah. So she was in critical condition at the time with a nameless encounter, but now she's in a cool mechanized wheelchair thing. Yeah,
got the whole Professor X thing going on. But
it's like a Wild West kind of type.
Very Wild West.
I wonder if we can go up walls.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
It's good. Like it definitely feels like all the other Shadows of Starlight ones. It feels like like it's telling a story, but it's also like telling a complete story is the least important thing. It's more like this is a bridging story, so we have to kind of. It's like you're doing homework for the novels that are coming almost.
Yeah, it's just like there's a lot of change in the status quo over a year, and we kind of just have to find some way to establish it without just leaving the reader to infer everything.
Exactly, or having to spend a lot of time, in those books, like doing like flashbacks in them, or like, hey, do you remember that time we got knighted, and Master Arkov knighted you, Burry? And yes, Indira Stokes is so sad that she's still in that wheelchair.
This one, I think, kind of lost some steam on that on that note, because as far as telling a whole story, the best part of the story was told in the short story book. Which
we
they just totally jump over, which makes sense.
I haven't read yet, and it's like it definitely feels like I'm missing. It feels like I'm definitely missing something here. It's like I will do everything to find Burry. Next scene, we found Burry.
Yeah, right. Which I do love that they threw in to see how Bell rescued Burry. Read all the Jedi Walk Their Own Path in the Tales of Light and Life anthology. That, to my knowledge, is the first actual like editor call out to a non-comic, not just to a non-comic, but like not Marvel. I don't think Marvel's ever referred to an IDW or a Dark Horse comic.
Oh no, never.
And this is to a book. Like, that's pretty neat. And I wish books should have footnotes. Like, do that. It's nice,
especially these ones. Ones.
It is. With like that story, it was just kind of interesting. With like, first you had Burryaga's living being announced on like a High Republic show or a tweet, essentially. Then now you get to read the story where we find out he lives, and then now you're reading a comic that is like just doing the Cliff's Notes version of Bell finding him. But I guess, I don't
like a lot of this was just, as far as the actual story in this, was stuff that we've either known about or kind of expected. It wasn't really until that 9 months later. I mean, it was really good character work for Bell. I especially love the scene of Burry and Patre Viter talking. But it's really
I think it makes a lot more sense for where he's at in Eye of Darkness, seeing how he's kind of struggling with everything that's happened.
Yeah, man, Bell has I think that I'm going to try to keep this spoiler free for Eye of Darkness. I think Bell's arc in that book is kind of unnecessary as far as just that book goes, but he's got my favorite character moment in the whole novel, so it's sort of a wash there. And it will probably hit harder if you read this first, but that's not how it came out. But yeah, that 9 months section here is sick. Because the action is so good.
It's so good. Now, I do want to quickly point one thing. I love when like the Nihil are like spying on them. They pull out like their deck of cards and like are like
it's very Iraqi war.
I was about to say it's very Iraqi war.
Yeah,
very saying Ace of we were all millennials during, like, we all remember that thing where they had a deck of 50.
The FBI most wanted cards, or the Iraqi war, Gulf War cards. I also just kind of opening that 9 month later section, we have art for the Third Horizon, which is a super cool RDC ship that was the RDC ship at Hetzel, and the character who I assume is Admiral Kranara. It never name drops him, but I mean that's who it probably has to be.
It's gotta be, yeah.
So these are some big phase 1 like characters that have been there from the very start, and this is their first, and a ship and this is their first like visual representation.
Yeah, and the Third Horizon is wild.
It looks sick.
It's got a lot of greebles.
I know,
it looks like if you kind of like took like I can see like some design elements that like overlap with like a long beam, and also kind of looks like CIS ship in a way. And
I don't think it's traced from a Lego model.
I don't see any studs or standoffs for like a miniature figure.
My favorite part of this, actually, this whole section is great. I'm just flipping through here. Them lighting their sabers up together, awesome. Just lightsabers are cool. Let's just be real. And then there's brief mention that the Nile have some saber canceling tech, which they talk about in Eye of Darkness some.
That's also I don't know if you remember, this is a callback to Rising Storm.
Oh, nice.
It was the character, like Ty York, she's like escorting a scientist and her daughter.
Oh, right.
And they're like, here's a machine that cancels out lightsaber tech, and it kind of like just disappears from our knowledge for so long. Like, I think there was like they go to recover the plan, the Jedi trying to recover the plans, and they're gone or something like that. It's been a long time. But yes, that is that.
Rising Storm also Escape to Crash Point Tower has a direct crossover with that scene. But
it's talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, if we want to talk about callbacks though, the wildest pull one of the wildest pulls I've ever seen is in this sick ass moment of Patre Vitor fighting.
Okay, yep.
He says, "Witness the power of Shan Ju," and that's him like using the Force without his lightsaber and just like kicking ass. So it's like this seems like a Legends thing, like Terakasi is, and it is, but barely. So Shan Ju is actually the name of a Jedi character from Legends who was in one story, and it is a comic, so it is relevant to this podcast, called The Clone Wars Deadly Hands of Shan Ju, which is one of those little like small Clone Wars comics. And it's a story about Aayla Secura
From 2010.
Yeah, and that, as far as I know, is the only mention of Shan Ju before, and it's exactly what this is. This is a guy who learned to kind of master the Force and fighting without his lightsaber. So that's what got canonized here. Which I wonder. I always wonder with that, if like, there's no way Charles Soule knew that, right? Like that had to be suggested from Pablo or someone.
I think there's a lot of cases where it is like hey, I need something to fit this mold. But then there are also, people like Cav, and I know that like, read the like weekly comics in the 70s.
Yeah,
they're like,
that kind
I'm
of stuff
pull
makes
that
more
specific
sense.
thing.
Yeah,
but this seems very
This is way out of left field.
right.
That I would never have found if I didn't just think it was a reference. Just because it was cool. I was like, this has to be from somewhere.
I had the same reaction where it's like, I just read that. I'm like, all right, to the Wikipedia. I'm sure it's the
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. Yeah. So very cool to bring that in. And now Patre Vitor's one of the coolest dudes. And such a cool exit line. That little conversation where he's down on the ground. He's like, I couldn't move if I tried, but I don't care because y'all are still scared of me. Yeah. And then he's like, don't worry about that you caught me. It doesn't matter. You should worry about who you didn't catch. Patre Vitor's rad. Post phase 3, I'm going to add him to my list of characters I want stories about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we should also just mention who's the person that captured him. Oz is Melis Shrike, who is a character from that Caleb's not met yet because she's in Eye of Darkness.
Okay.
It is.
Well, you're part of the way through it, right?
No,
I haven't even started.
Tales of Light and Life, probably, right?
I'll start that eventually. Probably the next book.
Our apologies.
Patre Vitor is very dead now.
That's
but
fine. I figured.
I did have a person on Twitter that was like, she's like, I really hope that Melis Shrike is sexy. I don't know if this is. I'm very curious for her reaction if this fulfills that.
That's gonna be a personal preference thing.
Yeah, I think it's a very much up to beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So
yeah, there are some, I think, characters you might call objectively attractive. This one, she's scary as hell, man. Which some people,
I think there are people that are gonna love this design.
She's kind of like the Shin Hati, like super like makeup eyeshadow.
I can fix her.
That sort of look. Yeah.
Do you see that StarWars.com posted the phrase Wolfren in an article today?
No.
Which is their ship name. That was fun. I love that.
Oh man,
God bless them.
Well, I feel like, what was this you were saying, that their social media person needs to like take a break?
No. I think I'm having a lot of fun.
It was pretty out of pocket recently.
It wasn't out of pocket. It was just ridiculous, off the wall. Like, I don't understand them. Swagman is having their best life, especially post the strikes ending.
Oh yeah, no, they're doing great.
I'll see if I can find that post while Caleb goes.
I do want to pull you guys. Speaking of character attractiveness and sexiness, Bell went through like 3 different looks here. Which one's the best?
Oh yeah. It's his Shadow of Starlight look. Everyone, when they grow that beard, I'm a sucker for facial hair. Naturally, I've got this big ass stash on my face.
I don't know that I like the facial hair look, but I also really don't like the shaved head look. Although I understand what it means. Yeah, I understand what it means for his character, but it's like what'd you do to my boy?
Like, he looks so different. Like, I keep looking at these, like, I guess his character, I guess they kept the same model. Like, his face is still the same, but boy, like he needs that like facial hair and like the locks. The locks.
Yeah, we just talked about,
like, that's a good look, man.
Yeah, we just talked about how Zeen
you look like
aged up 20 years, whereas he lost 5 years. You're right. His facial hair could use some work. I do like that, like, not every Jedi can just grow a sick ass beard by default. Like, his he's got a lot of room that's
Yeah.
not filled in. Unlike Elzar, who's just like boom.
Elzar's permanent 5 o'clock shadow that he has been growing for like 4 months.
Yeah.
Even then, he doesn't really touch Stellan, obviously.
Yeah.
I found the Unhinged Star Wars official account tweet. It's getting a puppy for the holidays, lots of work, potty training, not capable of destroying any starships. Getting them a seismic charge for the holidays makes a sweet noise, can totally destroy asteroids and ships. Target seeking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I don't know if Swagman's gonna start tweeting about Mela Strike.
Mel Strike makes sexy.
Yeah, but who knows? But yeah, a big part of Elzar's character arc in Eye of Darkness is just like that he objectively looks hot now. I mean, I think he already did.
Yeah, he already did. I think that's
yeah.
think that was a
But now that
issue,
he's now every character who's looking at him is like, dang, dude, nice.
Girl dumped you. You've been lifting.
So yeah, I think that I mean, Bell's locks look is great. His new hair, whatever. I'm glad he's feeling better.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, this is I'm very curious. Like, we all kind of, I think we had an idea of what every issue was going to be, except for this last one. I don't know what is coming. It has, Martian on the cover.
Yeah,
probably the Martian like the Nihil. Like,
I guess
interlude.
Yeah,
I guess it's probably just leading into his actions. If we're following the same trend, it's going to lead into his actions going into Eye of Darkness. I'm very curious on how it portrays that, because just based off, without being direct on with the book, his motivations and kind of just mindset in that book did not really seem like what I would expect. This is being from the perspective of other characters discussing it, but like, I feel like there has to be something else going on in his mind. So hopefully this comic kind of gets into that.
Well, the one thing that's sort of missing is, now I know that these are sort of telling 4 different stories, but they're overlapping a little bit. And as we sort of predicted after the first one, each one is going a little farther in the timeline. But the one kind of through line that's sort of important through these is Yoda and Aslan. Now, I don't necessarily see that getting finished up or anything.
They were like mentioned offhand in
exactly. But that's
but
that's kind of the new thing that was added into, like, that's unique to this book. And I don't think it's going to finish up here, but I also don't necessarily see Cavan doing that in the Marvel run. Obviously, that'll factor into Trials of the Jedi, which
they are specifically coming back in the second YA book. I know that.
Oh, that's the second one. Dang, I read that.
Tears of the Nameless. Yeah,
I couldn't remember. Oh shoot!
Defy the Storm is the one that's coming with Vernestra, and it's coming. That's in March, so it's not even next month. Next month is the middle grade novel,
right?
Escape from Valo. Then in March we get Defy the Storm with Vernestra and Jordana Sparkburn and Avon, and then the second YA book is the one that's going to have Wreath and Aslan and another character I can't remember who it was, but
but basically
Jedi Detective Man.
Oh, Emery
Kaftor.
Yeah. That story is sort of the one thing I would like a little bit of kind of closure to, or like more of a like, let's see what happens next than just like Aslan pulls a 9/11, which is sort of what happened in issue one.
Yep.
Yeah. And maybe that's going to be the last we see of them here.
I guess the only character I think that's shown up in every issue is Elzar, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but it's typically like he just, it's his beach scene just keeps expanding.
Yeah. Well, the first one we also see him in front of the Jedi Council a little bit. Second one is obviously all about him.
The second one, right?
But like, I guess issue 4, I'm just gonna guess he's gonna be there as well. Although I don't know what more has to happen to get him from where we know now to Eye of Darkness.
He started at
I feel like he's kind of there.
Pretty much mapped out. Yeah.
But I think you're right. At least based on the cover, it does seem like it's going to be a Martian issue, which is sort of weird considering the rest of this has been so Jedi focused. I don't know, but I guess we'll find out in roughly 1 month.
Yeah. We will hopefully see him on Hetzel, maybe doing some shenanigans. I don't know. I'd be down for some Baron Bulin action. He's a good character.
Yeah.
But.
Now, actually, something that we really could see is basically we could see him record the message. Basically, we could see him and Pratre Viter together.
Yeah.
See that.
Almost count because we ended phase 1 with him like killing our Jedi Master.
Yeah, so we could maybe Orbitus,
so we kind of like start the same way as him killing one.
So yeah, maybe we kind of see him go from there to Pratre Viter and use that as sort of the bookends of his story. That'd be cool.
Maybe.
Yeah. And yeah, Boolean or whatever his name is would be cool.
I think Baron Bulin.
Baron Bulin.
Yeah.
I think my one thing I would love to see more than anything else was the ghost of a character that haunted him in Eye of Darkness, and I'll leave it at that. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
That'd be fucking sick.
Yeah,
we've kind of established that with his.
He did say that it happened before Eye of Darkness. And there's only one other place we're gonna see him before Eye of Darkness.
Yeah, because in phase 1 we saw him seeing his dad's ghost,
Asgar's ghost. Yeah. But this is a different one.
Yes. So
again, if you know,
everyone go read Eye of Darkness before issue 4.
Fine, I'll catch up. Maybe over break. You've twisted my arm.
It's not that far into the book. I think that specific mention, but yeah. Anyways, any other final cool thoughts on?
I don't know that we really mentioned Jethro Morales, other than just that he drew this. Great art. I thought. Everything was really good. Jethro Morales, you might remember from The Blade. He did 2 issues of The Blade. I think that book had maybe 3 artists on it, or maybe just 2. But
it had
they co-arted.
Yes, like right. What AB, I think. Yeah.
Anyway, I loved this. Great art.
That's think all I've got to say. Very randomly on the art, the submarine that Bella uses to save Burryaga kind of looks like Asajj Ventress's ship. I don't know.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. A little. Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. Yeah. Makes it. Similar designs.
Yeah.
Which, and speaking of that scene, we get depictions of all those glups from Tales of Light and Life, but we still don't know what Ziri and Fontu look like.
Oh, shut the
Yeah, I'll never be able to shut them up. As long as independent art is still being made. All right, so what else was released over this time period here?
We got a couple of comic books that have come over the past 2 weeks, including Star Wars 41, which we're not talking about yet. Well, I've not read because
I've not read.
I
stand strong.
You're almost there.
I follow the artist's input.
Yeah, Bounty Hunters 41.
The penultimate issue was rough. I guess spoilers for that issue. Valance gets his memory back, but at what cost?
I hadn't read it yet, but I mean, we all knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, and he is down for his last mission to go try and save Han out of Carbonite. I'm going to guess it doesn't go very well. We also had D Squad number 4, which we did all read.
Yep. Did we talk about that? We did 3. We did 3.
We did 3.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a fun issue. It's kind of like after reading 3 and Dark Droids 4, we kind of like, okay, well, we can connect the dots.
Yeah.
But it was still fun.
It stayed true to form. A lot of fun. Great comic.
And then the final issues of Hyperspace Stories number 12, which I have not read.
I've not read yet either, but I really look forward.
Yeah.
The second volume comes out soonish. So we'll get the 3rd volume sometime in 2024. I'm sure those dates are out there. I just don't know. Save up your Christmas money because those trades are expensive.
Yes, they are. But hey, we've got some good comics. We are not going to talk about what's coming up in the next 2 weeks because we have a special episode coming for you next time. So stay tuned for that. It'll be a nice end of kind of year in review, fun discussion of comic books. I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, any other final thoughts?
Everyone get your top 10, your top 5 lists ready. To compare notes.
Yeah, get ready to yell at us on Discord or Twitter about how we're wrong and have bad opinions. But
what else is new?
Yeah, hey, that's what we're here for. But I think that'll probably do it. So that is it for this week's episode of the Cosmic Force. Don't forget to like and subscribe right here on YouTube, where you can watch us every other Wednesday. And we also encourage you to subscribe to the audio version on whatever podcast platform you listen to. And while you're at it, you can go ahead and leave a review if you'd like. You can follow us on Twitter and tweet at the show at Cosmic Force Show to stay informed about Star Wars comic news. You can also follow the host as well. I'm at Jacob Bausch. Caleb's at Cable Laminac, and Oz is Oz. For reviews, articles, and news for the rest of the wide galaxy of Star Wars content, be sure you visit Youtini.com. We encourage you to join our Youtini Discord community by going to Youtini.com/Discord. You can help support the show by heading to Patreon.com/Youtini and start receiving exclusive perks starting at just $5 a month, including our Empire Strikes Back commentary track, where we talk about the movie sometimes. A special thanks to Brian Dooley, Carl Sander, Michael Fry, and Raymond Basinski on our Jedi High Council, and James T., Ashley Ingalls, Colton Fife, Chris Carrizzo, and Sally and Chris Eyerlerson on our Alliance High Command for all their amazing support. Thanks again to Caleb and Oz for hosting with me, and special thank you to our listeners for joining us once again this week. We appreciate you, and see you in 2 weeks. May the Force be with you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.